Welcome to episode 577 of the show. In the previous episode, we looked at what digital quotient means, and that's the ability to get new skills or knowledge when it comes to digital technologies and how to apply them. We also did some speculation about where the term comes from and how it affects the traditional sales approach. That is prospecting, qualifying, discovery, presentation, and close. And that is looking for people to talk to who might be interested in your product or a service, making sure you're talking to the right person, making sure that you have a good grasp on what the problem is or what the vision that they're aiming towards. And with all that information, making an adequate presentation that cuts straight to the chase. And you also should be able to get them to close. That is to take action on something that moves the business relationship forward. Now, in today's episode and in future episodes, we're going to examine the specifics of how digital quotient applies to these different stages in the traditional sales process. That is prospecting, qualifying, discovery, presentation, and close. If this is your first time of listening to the podcast, then you don't have to worry because with each episode, I will be giving a slight definition of what these different stages are, just in case you didn't get it from the intro. And today, on episode 577, we're just going to address how digital quotient affects how we look for customers. And that is the first stage, which is prospecting, looking for customers, looking for people who might be interested in the product or service. So that's step one. So, like I said, the reminder, digital quotient is your ability to get skills or to get knowledge when it comes to matters of tech. And it also is the propensity to use those skills. Are you likely to use those skills or not? Because you can't say you have a high digital quotient if you know a lot about tech, but you never end up using a tech. So if you say that you have high digital quotient and you have all the fancy stuff, you have the best mobile phone, you have the most expensive CRM, customer relationship management software, let's see, what else? You have all the tech around basically, but you don't use it to do anything. You have that expensive phone, but all you do is you use it to make phone calls. You have the CRM, but you don't even log in your interactions or your meetings or try to plan the next best steps. Then you can't really say that you have high digital quotient. It just means you have tons of money and you're able to afford the latest, the greatest, the best, and to have all those things around. So it's not just the skills and the knowledge, but also the likelihood that you're going to use those skills and the knowledge. So the first step, looking for customers. Traditionally, we call that prospecting, looking for people who might be interested in the product or your service. And in the old days, if you were going to do prospecting without tech, it would have to be some sort of face-to-face interaction or some sort of phone call. If this is your first time of listening to the show, once you're done listening to this, you can scroll back, look for anything that has prospecting in the title. That's previous episodes that has prospecting in the title or sales framework in the title, and you hear some more details about how prospecting was done in the old days. That's pre-internet. And in fact, I think I did an episode on that, I think a week or maybe 2 weeks ago. That's back when we were discussing methods of lead generation. That's old school methods and new school methods. That's pre-internet and post-internet. Okay, no, not post-internet, because we are still in the age of the internet. Okay, so pre-internet and the advancement of the internet, looking at how we do lead generation. So if you look for episodes that have lead generation in the title, you'll hear some more about this. That's prospecting, looking for people to talk to who might be interested in your product or your service. Now, how can prospecting be enhanced by tech? We'll just dive straight into that. Since I've already said that if you're interested in the old school ways, just check the previous episodes. So how can prospecting be enhanced by technology that we have? Well, first of all, you save money because you don't have to visit people all the time. Tech saves you money because now you have video, internet calls, WhatsApp, email, Telegram, social media, People can DM you on Twitter or whatever, and all these things save you time, because in the old days you'd have had to go to someone's office or have someone come to your own office, go to someone's house, make phone calls, and all of those involve a considerable amount of time and expense, especially the face-to-face interactions. So if you live in a place like Abuja, I guess that's not too much of a hassle, because really, in most parts of the city, you can drive to your meeting in 20-30 minutes, and 20-30 minutes you drive back to your office or to your house. So you've only spent 1 hour max in traffic, maybe 1 hour max for the meeting, and so each meeting maybe takes you 2 hours, and so it's not unusual for an Abuja person to stack up 2 or 3 meetings in a day, because that is possible. On the other hand, if you live in a place like Lagos, then it is not wise to try and stack up multiple meetings like that, because the traffic. Also, excuse me, my alarm just went off on my wristwatch. Let me shut that off. Okay. All right. Where was I? Okay. Yeah. So the time and the cost involved. So you'd have to spend a lot in time and money in Abuja. Running around with Uber and all those things, not too expensive, because there's not much traffic. So it's realistic that you can use 1,500, maybe 2,000 to Uber to and Uber from. So maybe that's 4 grand. But then Lagos, you could be spending a whole lot more. I remember the first time that I had to take what was it? It wasn't Uber, it was the other one. So I had to take the other one, whatever that company is called, the one that came first, in Lagos. And I think the first time that I did that, I spent 9 grand heading there. And man, that was really upsetting. Having to move around in the city and spending, I think at the end of the day, I spent over 20 grand just moving around. And anyway, you guys get the picture. Time and money is involved. If you're going to use tech, then you can save yourself time and money. Because if you do a WhatsApp call, you're saving time. You're saving money. You're only using data. You're saving time because you didn't have to drive to or from. Let's see what else. Okay, another thing is that you can find out more about prospects than in the old days, because before there was the internet. If you wanted to know about someone, let's say I have a meeting and I'm supposed to meet with Mrs. Ogedengbe tomorrow at 9 a.m. The only way to know about Mrs. Ogedengbe in the past would have been to ask someone who knows Miss Ogedengbe. So, in other words, if you're having a meeting with Miss Ogedengbe and you don't know anyone who knows her personally, you wouldn't be able to get the lowdown. You wouldn't be able to get the scoop or find out what she's like ahead of time. But now you can Google search Miss Ogedengbe. You can check LinkedIn. You see her profile. You see the profile of the office. You can see her. You can check out her Instagram or maybe her Pinterest. Instagram and Pinterest will give you a sense of what kind of personality that she has. You'll be able to see the contacts that you have in common if you check her Facebook profile or if you check your her LinkedIn profile. And from the contacts that you have in common, you also be able to get a sense of who does this person roll with, what are the kinds of things that they are interested about. And technology just gives us more avenues for us to feel like we know someone before we call him or call her for the meeting. Just gets us a little bit more comfortable. So tech also makes it easier to follow up because lots of people are averse to face-to-face and phone interactions. They don't like having people in the house or in the office. So if you're not one of those people who likes picking up the phone or visiting people, there are internet and text-based options, sending emails, WhatsApp messages, stuff like that. And then the internet also makes it easier to find potential customers. For instance, for wedding photographers, event planners, you can put out Instagram advertisements specifically targeting brides. That way, you know that most people who respond to the advertisements are most likely brides or people who are related to brides. Now, if you look at that versus the old school way of going out and handing out flyers or advertising in the church bulletin, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get high quality traffic, that the people who pick them up could be brides, because you put the advertisement in the bulletin and some people who call you up might be interested in portraiture. And that's a problem that I had early on when I used to advertise for that's my wedding photography business in the church bulletin. So I'd put it there, wedding photography. But for some reason, people would call wanting to do portraits. And I didn't like doing portraits. I still don't like doing portraits. Yeah, so where was I? Okay, so it makes it easier to find potential customers because of the targeting capabilities that are out there with Instagram, with Google, and stuff like that. And these are the many ways that prospecting is now easier because we have tech available. I remember prospecting is about looking for people to talk to who might be interested in your product or your service. And before I sign off, a warning. Because of the internet now, it means that we have no excuses because everyone has access to the internet and everyone has access to the keyboard. So in the old days, you could come up with excuses. You don't have money for transport fare. Your clothes don't look too good. Let's see what else. The person is in a different city. Uh, you don't have a car. There are lots of excuses. But with the internet now, our excuses are drastically reduced. So there is no excuse anymore not to try and drum up business, not to try and hustle business, not to try and prospect and look for customers. So if you don't like hustling face to face and over the phone, you better start hustling over the keyboard. So thank you very much for listening to today's episode 577. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.